So I just finished recording another video about the Apple Watch Series 7, and you might say, well, the Series 8 was just announced. And you'd be completely correct about that. But the reason that I've recorded that video now wasn't, because I owned the Series 7 a year ago and decided to wait just to show that there really wasn't much of a difference. Although I feel like I did show that, which go to Apple's website and just look at the, compare the different models, and you'll see that the Apple Watch of this year is pretty much the same as the Apple Watch of last year, which is fine because they consistently make good products. They consistently make consistent products. You get an Apple Watch, you know it's going to work. You get an iPhone, you know it's going to work. You get an iPad, you know it's going to work. Now you get Macs, you know they're going to work. So there's nothing really too exciting, and there's nothing wrong with that because you know that what you're going to get is going to be something that is solid. And if you choose to partake and fully get consumed by consumed within the Apple ecosystem, then you'll be good to go. But in that last video, I was trying to hint at something, and I know I didn't say it right, and I could have reshot something or tried to splice something in, whatever. But the point I was trying to make by saying I have, I think, 5 Android phones and 1 iPhone is that each one of those Android devices offers something different, something unique that sets it apart from the other devices. And when you get an iPhone, you know what you're getting. You get this year's model, you might get, okay, it has the new chip or has a slightly better camera, or it's a little faster. But it's really just the same phone. I have the iPhone 12 mini, and I've thought about upgrading to the iPhone 13 mini, but I'm like, aside from the cameras being diagonal from each other instead of vertically stacked on top of each other, the notch being slightly smaller, and of course getting a slightly bigger battery, and a slightly faster chip, it's like, well, it's the same phone. The overall user experience is going to be exactly the same. So I really didn't see a need to upgrade. Not saying that I won't, but for the time being, I'm just not going to. But that brings me here today to this guy right here. It arrived yesterday. I was super excited about it. This is the Asus Zenfone 9. Turn it sideways, says Asus Zenfone 9. Up here it says compact size, big possibilities. And the thing with this particular phone, which I wish, oh man, I really, really miss the days of the Sony compact phones. And I know you'll say, well, the Xperia 5 is the 2020 version of their compact phones. And you would not be wrong, but their compact phones truly were good. So the Xperia XZ1 compact, the Xperia X compact, the Xperia XZ2 compact. That XZ2 one was a little different, but still good size. It was a nice product. And the point of their compact line was, hey, you have a smaller phone, but you still get flagship level specs. Not that that's super important to everybody, but it is nice knowing that, hey, this phone that I have, they didn't skimp on it because they decided to make it small. Now, physically, you have a smaller battery because, just the physical size of the phone is smaller. You also have a smaller screen. So, yeah, because physically the size of the phone is smaller. But in terms of overall performance, you're going to get a good experience. So, like I said, I've had this for about 24 hours now. So I haven't tested it a bunch. I have used it. My SIM card is in it. I've taken it out with me for a little bit. I've taken a few pictures. Nothing too extravagant. But we'll get to that in a moment. And normally I don't do unboxings. And as you know, I mean, the phone's not even in the box anymore. I just wanted to show the box. But it was a used product. And technically, I don't think it's supposed to be announced in this country, in the U.S., but they're available for sale on eBay, so I figured I'd get one. I assume this is just reading the materials. I know it was supposed to come with a case, but I didn't. Oh, okay, never mind. The case was in here. Okay, but I'm not even going to use the case, and the reason is because the back of the phone is plastic, which I could not be more excited about that. In a time where the backs of all phones are metal and glass, it's nice to have a phone that is plastic. And I'll show why when I get to the phone. The phone was in this plastic. Again, I already removed it. So is this plastic? Actually, it might be paper. Then down here at the bottom, yeah, you got the charger, which again, all phones no longer include. So it's a nice little USB-C charger. I guess it's 30 watts or something. I mean, I'm not a huge stickler when it comes to charging because I just plug it up and let it sit for a little while and then I'm good to go. Or since everything's USB-C, I use the charger that I have for my Lenovo ThinkPad and it charges everything relatively quickly. I mean, it's 65 watts, I believe, so it works perfectly fine. And this is a USB-C to C cable right here. So stuff, I mean, at this point, you have to, I don't even want to say you have to praise companies because it is nice to have the stuff included. But as you can see, I'm putting it back in the box. So I don't even know if I'm ever going to use it. So I don't fault any of the companies for removing the stuff because as you see, I already have a way to charge it. I don't need the SIM card ejector tool. I don't need another cable. Great that it came with the case, but I'm probably not even going to use it because, again, the back of the phone is plastic. And hold on one second. So here we have the Asus Zenfone 9. All right. Now, before I, get into the specs and everything, which I'll do very quickly because specs really don't mean much to most people. The most important thing for me, and the reason that I was so excited about this phone, is because of how small it is in the hand. Okay, it is definitely easy to use this phone with one hand. Again, I've only had it for a day, so I'm still going to continue playing around with it before I make any definitive decisions about it. But already I can tell you that the size of this phone isn't perfect, but it is great. It is outstanding. I'll say it's perfect for 2022 because everything in 2022 has just gotten way too big. So I am thoroughly enjoying this phone already, even though I've only had it for about 24 hours. Now, before I, turn on the screen and all that, let's actually look at some of the specs. I got the monitor right here that you can't see, so let's take a look at some of the specs. All right, you know what? Let's turn it over so you can see these super fat camera bumps or humps or lumps or circles, whatever you want to call them. All right. So on the front, we have a 5.9-inch screen. Great. And yeah, in a world where everything is 6 inches or above or 6.1, because I don't even know, are there any actual 6-inch phones? Because the iPhone, the Pixel 6a, my Sony Xperia, the Samsung Galaxy S22, all of those were 6.1-inch displays. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're all the same. I feel like once Apple did it, everybody was like, oh yeah, that's the size that everybody wants. And I kind of understand because if you're trying to get somebody from another ecosystem, from another platform, make that switching cost as small as possible, one thing you can do is, hey, the size of the phone is relatively the same. So even in your hand, it's not going to feel too different. So I kind of get it. But yeah, 5.9, this is great. Absolutely great. Now you have two options for the amount of RAM. You can either have 8 or 16 gigabytes worth of RAM. This little guy has 8 gigabytes. The battery is 4,300 milliamp hours. So for a phone of this size, that is definitely a good amount of battery life, or a good size battery, which should lead to good battery life. And one thing that should aid in hopefully what is outstanding battery life is the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. So the most up-to-date Snapdragon flagship chip available here in 2022 is available in this little mighty phone. All right. So already just the initial specs are going to be good. I didn't talk about storage. You have two options for storage also, 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes. This little guy has 256. Did I say 258? 256 gigabytes. This little guy has 256 gigabytes of storage. There is no option for expandable storage, so there is no SD card, which I used to complain a lot about that. And I, earlier was mentioning my Sony Xperias and stuff. And even the iPhone prior to last year, prior to the iPhone 13, when your base model starts at 64 gigabytes worth of storage in the 21st century. Well, I don't know if I want to go that far, but in 2020 or later, yeah, you need expandable storage or you need to start at a higher base storage configuration. So this guy starts at 128. My Sony Xperias that were older started at 64, but they had expandable storage, so that was fine. This doesn't have expandable storage, and I'm okay with that. I truly am. And in fact, my Sony Xperia that I have now still has expandable storage, but because there's 256 gigs of storage internally, don't really see a need to use it. And in fact, I don't. Sometimes I leave it in there for storage, and that's really about it. Okay. Now, I could talk about the actual dimensions, which aren't really that important. What is important, I think, is the diagonal size in terms of the screen, which, as I mentioned before, is 5.9 inches. I shouldn't have turned the phone over yet because it doesn't really matter, but the build of this phone is good. So, yeah, you have Gorilla Glass Victus. Okay, great. I mean, I don't know how much better Gorilla Glass Victus is than Gorilla Glass 6 or whatever the previous year's model was. But for me, what's most important, which is why I should have just left it over here, is that this back is plastic. Okay. And for some people, they might say, oh, you don't want plastic. You want metal. You want glass because that's a premium feel. And I could not disagree with you more. All right. So like right now, I would show you, but the phone that I'm using to record this right now is the Galaxy S22. And that has a glass back. Here's my Sony Xperia that has a glass back. And it's slick in the hand always. I mean, that's why I have a case for it. But it's always slick in the hand. My iPhone also has a glass back, which is over there. So not having something that's super slick and it's soft in the hands, like it is so nice. It is a joy to hold this phone right now, especially without having to put a case on it. So the size of it is good. And you don't need a case because the back doesn't feel like it's going to slip out of your hands. I mean, I don't know if you can hear, but I mean, yeah, it's textured. Yeah, this rubber, plastic, whatever you want to call it, like this is textured, a textured material. So I'm excited about it. All right, now let's scroll down a little bit, see what else we got. We got camera stuff. I mean, I'm not a camera guy, so I feel like I wouldn't do it justice talking about it. So if you want more information about it, the cameras, by all means, go online. You do have, which I know I'm all over the place because I'm just looking at what's on the screen right now. You do have that little guy. And if you don't know what that is a headphone jack. And yeah, I'll be honest, maybe even sometime last year, I would complain that, these phones didn't have headphone jacks, which it's nice that it's there. But I mean, after not having it for so long, everybody just ends up saying, well, I'm just going to use Bluetooth. And that's what you do. So then you have Bluetooth headphones. And now that once you get a phone that has a headphone jack, you're like, well, I could plug stuff in, and I will give you one specific use case. When I'm watching high definition, high audio quality movies on my phone, so not stream stuff, but stuff that is actually locally on the device, I think the bit rate or whatever for the audio track or the audio stream is too high. So there's always lag when I'm watching the video and trying to listen to it on my Bluetooth headphones. So I then have to use a wired connection to avoid that out of sync lip to ear. You know what I'm talking about. The person is talking, but the audio doesn't match the video. So yeah, those are situations where I have to actually use wired headphones. So I do, and it's good that this has it. And with my Sony Xperia, that's another phone that has a headphone jack, and I usually end up using a wired connection when watching those high definition movies. Has dual front facing speakers, so that's a good thing. And what else? Wi-Fi 6E, that's good. USB-C on the bottom, of course. This is interesting, and you probably don't care about it because most people don't. But for the SIM card option, you have the option for dual SIMs, and that is nice. Most people aren't going to benefit from it because most people only have one SIM card, but it is nice to have the option to have two SIM cards. Now, I will use it at some point, most likely. Excuse me. But most people won't. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, take it at that. Now, in terms of functionality, I think that's really all I'm going to talk about right there in terms of specs. So in terms of functionality, I'm going to make another video about that because this really I'm super excited about this. As you can see, I didn't even turn the screen on. So just the physical form factor of the phone is absolutely great. Again, 5.9 inch screen, Feels great in the hand. Has a plastic back and headphone jack, dual SIM, 128 or 256 gigs of storage, 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, 4,300 milliamp hour battery. This is a flagship phone that is commanding flagship price. I will tell you that. This is the most I've ever spent on a phone. I didn't spend retail, but it definitely was the most I've ever spent on a phone. And so far, I think it's worth it. So I'm going to stop this one, and then in my next video, I'll turn on the screen and I'll, let you see what I see, because it is something to talk about. And it's unfortunate that the industry has gone away from more compact, easily held phones. But this is a good thing. This is a good direction. All right. I'm going to end this one right here, and we'll be back in a little bit.